You've been waiting for something to click. You won't say it that way, not out loud. But somewhere underneath every decision you make, every morning you drag yourself through, every night you spend staring at the ceiling, running the numbers on your own life, there's this quiet, desperate hope that one day things will just fall into place. That one day you'll wake up and the weight won't be there, the confusion will be gone, the path will be obvious, and you'll finally feel like it's all going to be okay. But that morning never comes. Not the way you imagined it. Because every time something resolves, something else unravels. Every time one door opens, another one creaks. And you start to wonder if this is just what life is. An endless rotation of problems dressed in different outfits. So you keep waiting. You keep holding your breath. You keep telling yourself that peace is something you earn once the circumstances cooperate. Once the money's right. Once the relationship is stable. Once your health is better. Once you're finally in a position where nothing is threatening to fall apart. And in the meantime, you survive. But you don't live. You manage. You cope. You white-knuckle your way through days that could have been beautiful if you weren't so busy bracing for impact. Here's what no one told you, and honestly it might be the single most important thing you'll ever let yourself hear. Things don't work out, and then you decide to be okay. You decide to be okay, and then things start working out. The order is backwards from everything you've been taught. You've been standing at the edge of your own life, arms crossed, saying, "Show me it's safe, and then I'll relax." But life doesn't work that way. It never has. The safety doesn't come first. The decision does. And that's not a motivational line stitched on a pillow. That's a structural truth about how your mind, your energy, and your entire experience of being alive actually operates. Because when you are in a constant state of waiting for things to resolve before you allow yourself to feel settled, you are literally building your life from a foundation of anxiety. Every choice you make is filtered through fear. Every opportunity is evaluated by how much it might go wrong. Every good thing is held at arm's length because you're already bracing for the moment it disappears. And what do you think that creates? More fear, more collapse, more evidence that you were right to be afraid. Not because life is cruel, but because you were looking through a lens that could only find what it was focused on. Think about the last time something went wrong. Not catastrophically wrong, just the ordinary kind of wrong that eats your Tuesday afternoon and follows you into Wednesday. A plan that fell through. A message that wasn't returned. A number in your bank account that made your stomach drop. Now think about what happened next. Not in the situation, in you. You spiraled. Maybe not visibly. Maybe you still smiled at people and answered your emails and held it together on the outside. But inside, the machinery started grinding. You began assembling worst-case scenarios like they were furniture, piece by piece, methodical, practiced, because you've done this 1,000 times before. And here's the part that will bother you if you let it. Most of those worst-case scenarios never happened, not even close. The thing you were sure would destroy you, it passed. The situation you lost sleep over, it resolved, sometimes messily, sometimes slowly, but it resolved. And you moved on. You always move on. But you never update the software. You never look back and say, wait, I survived every single one of those moments I thought would break me. Maybe I should stop assuming the next one will be different. Instead, you reset the clock. New worry, same pattern, and the cycle continues. But here's where it gets deeper. This isn't just about worry. This is about identity. Somewhere along the way, you started identifying with the struggle so deeply that you don't actually know who you are without it. The anxiety became familiar. The bracing became a posture. The waiting for the other shoe to drop became your default state. And now, even when things are genuinely fine, even when nothing is falling apart, you can't fully receive it. Because calm feels suspicious. Because ease feels like the setup to a punchline. Because the last time you let your guard down, something hit you sideways, and you swore you'd never be caught off guard again. So you stay guarded, you stay braced, and you call it being realistic. But it's not realism. It's a wound dressed up as wisdom, and it's costing you everything. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be painfully honest with yourself. When was the last time you fully enjoyed something without simultaneously scanning for what could go wrong? When was the last time you received a compliment and actually let it in, not deflected it, not minimized it, not immediately thought about the way it might not be true? When was the last time something good happened and your first response wasn't, "Okay, but how long will this last?" If you can't remember, that's not a character flaw. That's a pattern. And patterns can be broken. But they can only be broken by someone who's willing to see them first. And now here's something that might sound strange, but stay with it. The decision that everything works out. It's not a belief you arrive at through evidence. It's a posture you choose before the evidence shows up. It's the willingness to say, "I don't know how this resolves, but I'm going to move through it as though it will." Not because you're naive, not because you're ignoring the difficulty, but because you've finally realized that the alternative, the constant bracing, the mental rehearsal of disaster, the refusal to feel okay until everything is perfect, that alternative has never once protected you. It's only ever stolen the moments that were actually good. Think about water for a second. Water doesn't stop flowing because there's a rock in the way. It doesn't stand at the edge of an obstacle and panic. It doesn't build a worst-case scenario about what the rock means for its future. It adjusts. It moves around, sometimes over, sometimes under, but it keeps going. And eventually, given enough time, it reshapes the rock entirely. Not through force, through persistence, through the quiet, unremarkable decision to keep moving no matter what's in the path. You have that in you. You've always had it. But you've been so focused on the rocks that you forgot you're the water. And that's not even the real shift. The real shift is what happens in your everyday life when you make this decision. Not once, in some dramatic moment of clarity, but daily, quietly, in the small, invisible moments where no one's watching. It's the moment you wake up and your mind immediately starts listing everything that's unresolved. And instead of following it down the spiral, you pause. You breathe. And you say, not to the universe, not to anyone else, but to yourself, this is going to work out. Not because you know how, but because you're done living as though it won't. It's the moment you check your phone and the news you wanted isn't there yet. The callback, the answer, the confirmation. And instead of letting that absence mean something terrible, you set the phone down and choose to live the next hour as someone who trusts the process. Not because it's easy, because the other option is worse. It's the moment in the conversation where someone asks you how things are going, and instead of performing okay, or spiraling into everything that's uncertain, you just say, "I'm figuring it out, and I think it's going to be good." And for the first time, you actually mean it. Not because everything is resolved, but because you've resolved something inside yourself. That's the decision. It's not a one-time event. It's a practice. A daily rebellion against the part of your brain that is addicted to catastrophe. A quiet, persistent refusal to let fear write the story before life gets a chance to. But let's be honest. Some of you are listening to this and there's a part of you that's resisting. A part that says, "That's nice, but you don't know my situation. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know how bad it actually is." And you're right, I don't. I don't know the specifics of your pain. I don't know the weight of the thing you're carrying or how long you've been carrying it. And I'm not here to minimize that. But I do know this. The belief that things can't work out has never once made them work out faster. The conviction that you're doomed has never once opened a door. And the energy you spend rehearsing failure is energy you could be spending on the only thing that's ever actually changed your life. Showing up, one more time, as someone who hasn't given up. You don't need certainty. You've been waiting for certainty and it hasn't come. It's not coming. Certainty is not a prerequisite for peace. Peace is a prerequisite for clarity. And clarity is what actually moves your life forward. Not panic, not control. Not the illusion that if you just worry hard enough, you can prevent bad things from happening. You can't prevent bad things from happening, but you can stop letting the fear of them steal the life that's happening right now. Now here's the part most people aren't ready to hear. When you decide that things work out, some people around you won't understand. They'll call you naive. They'll call you reckless. They'll mistake your peace for passivity and your trust for denial. Because most people are addicted to the struggle narrative. They've built their entire identity around how hard things are. And when you stop performing stress, when you stop participating in the collective panic, it makes them uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because your calm is a mirror that reflects the chaos they haven't dealt with yet. Let them be uncomfortable. That's not your weight to carry. You've been carrying other people's expectations of how you should respond to your own life for long enough. You've been performing anxiety because calm didn't seem appropriate. You've been matching other people's urgency because peace felt irresponsible. But peace is not irresponsible. Peace is the most productive state a human being can operate from. Every good decision you've ever made came from a moment of clarity, not a moment of panic. So the next time someone looks at you like you're crazy for being calm in the middle of uncertainty, let them. Smile if you want. But don't explain, don't defend, don't shrink. You've spent too many years shrinking. Here's what I think is actually happening in your life right now, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. You're in the middle of something. Not the beginning. The beginning had that electricity, that naive hope that maybe this time it'll be fast. And not the end. The end has resolution, reflection, relief. You're in the middle. The part that no one talks about because it's not photogenic. The part where you can't see the progress. Where every day feels like the same day. Where you're doing the work but the results haven't caught up yet. And in that middle, your mind is trying to convince you that nothing is working. That you've been foolish. That the people who doubted you were right. That maybe you should just cut your losses and retreat into something smaller. Something safer. Something that doesn't ask this much of you. But the middle is not where things fall apart. The middle is where you get built. The middle is where you find out whether you actually believe the things you said you believed when it was easy to believe them. And right now, life is asking you a very simple question. Do you trust this, or don't you? Not do you understand it, not do you have proof. Do you trust it? And your answer to that question, not the one you say out loud, but the one you live, that answer shapes everything that comes next. So let this be the moment. Not a dramatic, cinematic turning point, something quieter than that, something more honest. Let this be the moment where you stop requiring life to prove itself to you before you decide to feel okay. Where you stop holding your joy hostage until every variable is accounted for. Where you look at the uncertainty, all of it, every terrifying, unresolved, unknown piece of it, and you say, I'm going to be all right. Not because I can see the ending, but because I've decided that the ending is good. And then you walk into your next hour like someone who believes that. You make your coffee like someone who believes that. You open your laptop, answer the message, take the step, have the conversation, like someone who has already decided that this life, messy and uncertain and imperfect as it is working in your favor. Because it is. It always has been. You just couldn't see it through the fog of your own fear. The fog is lifting now. Let it lift. Don't chase it, don't analyze it, don't wonder if it's real, just let it lift. And notice what's been here the whole time, waiting for you to stop bracing long enough to see it. Your life was never falling apart. It was falling into place. You were just too close to the pieces to see the picture. If something in this settled differently than you expected, if you feel even 1 degree lighter than when you pressed play, drop the word "decided" in the comments. Not for the algorithm, not for me, for you. A small, quiet stake in the ground that says you're done waiting for life to give you permission to feel okay. You've given it to yourself. And if you want more conversations like this, not hype, not performance, just real words for the parts of life that don't come with instructions, subscribe. I'll be here. See you in the next one.